Hi, welcome again, kids. It's Belle Story Hour Part 2. I'm back again. My name is Georgiana Wentz, if you're new. And again, I'll be reading to kids. I mean, to you guys. I can't believe I'm back. So let's start with a little welcome song. Let's do a little welcome song. Okay, let's do this one.
Name English Kids. Whoa. Hello. My name is Matt. What's your name? I can hear your wonderful loud voice. Are you ready to sing the hello song with me? You are? That's great. Here we go. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Let's make a circle. Let's make a circle. Let's make a circle. Good idea. Let's walk this way. Let's walk this way. Let's walk this way. Good idea. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Let's clap our hands. Let's clap our hands. Let's clap our hands. Good idea. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
Okay, so hello. So now that we said hello and everything, I'm gonna start reading to you. So the first story is called Owen by Kevin Hendricks. Owen by Kevin Hendricks. Owen had a fuzzy yellow blanket. He had it since he was a baby. He loved it with all his heart. Fuzzy goes where I go, said Owen, and Fuzzy did. Upstairs, downstairs, in between, inside, outside, upside down. Fuzzy likes what I like, said Owen, and Fuzzy did. Orange juice, grape juice, chocolate, milk, ice cream, peanut butter, applesauce cake. Isn't he getting a little old to be carrying that thing around? Asked Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard of the blanket fairy? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. That night, Owen's parents told Owen to put Fuzzy under his pillow. In the morning, Fuzzy would be gone, but the blanket fairy would leave an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific big boy gift in its place. Owen stuffed Fuzzy inside his pajama pants. and went to sleep. No blanket fairy, said Owen in the morning. No kidding, said Owen's mother. No wonder, said Owen's father. Fuzzy's dirty, said Owen's mother. Fuzzy's torn and ratty, said Owen's father. No, said Owen, Fuzzy's perfect. And Fuzzy was. Fuzzy played Captain Plunger with Owen. Fuzzy helped Owen become invisible. And Fuzzy was essential when it came to nail clippings and haircuts and trips to the dentist. Can't be a baby forever, said Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard the vinegar trick? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. When Owen wasn't looking, his father dipped Owen's favorite corner of Fuzzy into a jar of vinegar. Owen sniffed it and smelled it and sniffed it. He picked a new favorite corner. Then he rubbed the smelly corner all around his sandbox, buried in the garden, and dug it up again. Good as new, said Owen. Fuzzy wasn't very fuzzy anymore, but Owen didn't mind. He carried it and wore it and dragged it. He sucked it and he hugged it and he twisted it. What are we going to do? Asked Owen's mother. School is starting soon, said Owen's father. Can't bring a blanket to school, said Mrs. Tweezers. Haven't you heard us saying no? Owen's parents hadn't. Mrs. Tweezers filled them in. I have to bring Fuzzy to school, said Owen. No, said Owen's mother. No, said Owen's father. Owen buried his face in Fuzzy. He started to cry and would not stop. Don't worry, said Owen's mother. We'll be all right, said Owen's father. And then suddenly Owen's mother said, I have an idea. It's an absolutely wonderful, positively perfect, especially terrific idea. First she snipped, then she sewed, and then she snipped again and sewed some more. Snip, 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 sew, 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 dry your eyes, wipe your nose, hooray, hooray, hooray! Now Owen carries one of his not-so-fuzzy handkerchiefs with him wherever he goes. And Mrs. Tweezers doesn't say a thing. The end. Okay. Our next story is called Sarah and Puffle, a story for children about diabetes. So here's your little chance to learn about diabetes, kids. Diabetes is a disease that you could get. So let's learn a little bit about it. By Linnea Mulder, RN, illustrated by Joanne A. Fryer. This is a book to help parents help their children. Sarah and Puffle, a story for children about diabetes, by Linnea Mulder, RN, illustrated by Joanne H. Fryer. Every summer, Sarah and her family visited cousins who lived on a farm. They played with the lambs. They fed the ducks. They rode ponies. They ate strawberries and picked in the field. Last year was fun, but last year, Sarah didn't have diabetes. Sarah and her sister Emily galloped around the yard. Time to start packing, called Mother. Yay, tomorrow we get to ride the pony, shouted Emily. As she raced in the house, Sarah followed slowly. She wasn't sure she wanted to go to the farm this year. Sarah got her blue suitcase out of the closet. She packed her penguin pajamas, her purple sparkle toothbrush, her animal books. She put in some clothes and her stuffed lamb Puffle. Don't forget your carrot kit and raisins, called her mother. They won't fit, said Sarah. Better make room, said Mother. Remember what the doctor said about how our bodies need insulin? With diabetes, your body doesn't make insulin, so you get it from shots. Sarah knew the shots kept her feeling better. She wasn't as thirsty, hungry, or tired anymore. She also remembered the nurse saying, too little food can make you feel hungry, shaky, and cranky. So always keep a snack with you in case you start to feel that way. Sighing, Sarah tucked Puffle under her arm. She put the diabetes care kit and some little boxes of raisins in her suitcase. Sarah and her family left for the farm at 3 o'clock, snack time. In the car, Sarah and Emily had animal crackers and milk. Sarah bit the head off the hippopotamus. Can I have more? Asked Emily. You can, but I can't, complained Sarah. You can eat whatever you want, whenever you want, but I have to wait for the next snack time. Big deal, Emily. You had cake and ice cream at my birthday party. Only because of a special treat and because it was snack time. Because you were riding bikes all afternoon. Sarah knew that exercise helped her body use the extra sugar. Finally, they arrived at the farm. We're here, shouted Emily. The girls tumbled out of the car. Their cousins Brady and John came running to meet them. There's time for a pony ride before dinner, said Brady. Sarah looked at her watch. All day long, she had to know what time it was. Was it time for a snack or a blood test, a meal, or an insulin shot? Stupid watch, she thought. Remember to be back by 6 o'clock for your finger poking shot, said her father. What's a finger poke? Asked Brady. Nothing, said Sarah, her eyes suddenly filled with tears. And I don't want a stupid pony ride. Holding back tears, Sarah ran to the sheep pen. It's not fair, she thought. She lay down the hay and started to cry. What's the matter? Asked a voice. Puffle, you're talking. Sure am, and I'm going to the pasture. Can you join me for a walk? Why are you crying? Asked Puffle. Because I don't want to have diabetes, said Sarah. I'm tired of poking my finger for blood tests. I'm tired of insulin shots. I hate it when I have to stop to eat a snack when nobody else does, and when I'm not even hungry. I don't blame you for feeling angry, said Puffle, but listen. Sarah, are you sad? Does diabetes make you mad? It just happens. We don't know why. It's not your fault. It's okay to cry. It rhymes, said Sarah. I know, said Puffle sheepishly. Do you think my diabetes will go away by my birthday? Asked Sarah. Puffle shook his head. Your diabetes is here to stay. You can't wish it or will it away. We can jump and skip and run and play with friends in the summer sun. Ride your bicycle, sleep in the shade, chomp on carrots, drink lemonade. There are lots of things that you could do and some you can't, but just a few. Sarah, that's why I'm here, to let you know help's always near. Your parents, your doctor, your sister too. They'll do what they can and so will you. Tell Brady and John and all the folks about insulin and finger pokes. Friends like you will like you for who you are. Just be yourself and you'll go far. But none of my friends has diabetes, said Sarah. That's okay. Everybody's different, said Puffle. Kind of different yourself, said Sarah. Well, bye for now. Puffle jumped over the fence, his bell jingling. Sarah woke to the sound of the dinner bell clanging, cling, cling, cling. She hurried back to the house. Emily and her cousins were already there, getting ready for dinner. Hey, Brady, you still want to know about finger pokes and insulin shots? Asked Sarah. Sure, said Brady. I have diabetes, Sarah explained, so I have to find out how much sugar is in my blood. First, I do a finger poke. She cleaned off her fingertip with alcohol, and then she poked herself with a lancet. Wow, you do that all by yourself? Asked Brady. 3 times a day, said Sarah proudly. She squeezed a drop of blood from her fingertip, let it fall in the test strip in the meter. This machine tells me my blood sugar level. Then we can figure how much insulin I need. Is diabetes catching us, Brady? No, said Sarah. It isn't. Next, Sarah's father helped her with the insulin shot. You're brave, said John. It doesn't hurt much, as Sarah said, but secretly she agreed with John. Come on, Sarah, said Brady. Hot dogs for supper. Coming, she said. Sarah put her carrot cake back in her suitcase. She gave Puffle a hug, and she ran to join the others. The end. So now we have, if you want to know what was in Sarah's diabetes care kit, you had Puffle. Puffle's right here. You have the test strips, the cotton balls, the circle thing, the cotton balls, the alcohol wipes to clean it off. The blood glucose meter. The blood glucose meter is this long thing. Her raisins are at the bottom here. The syringe, her little shots. The lancet device is right there. In her logbook, and yeah. So, okay, let's move on to our next story. Hopefully you like that one, kids, about learning all about diabetes. And because diabetes, like in the story says, not catching, but it's something you can get. So if you want more information about diabetes, ask your parents to tell you more. And parents, in the beginning of that story, there's a little page and a half telling all about diabetes. So if you're interested, get that book for your kids. Okay. Next we have You Can't Take a Balloon into the National Gallery. Ooh. By Jacqueline Perez-Wetzman and Robin Press-Glatzer. You Can't Take a Balloon into the National Gallery. Story by Jacqueline Perez-Wetzman. Pictures by Robin Press-Glatzer. Oh, this one, maybe this one doesn't. Oh, this one doesn't have any words. That's silly. Can't really do this one because it's not many words. Can't, yeah. There goes two of my books. Silly me. Okay, kids, we're going to move on to Rapunzel. Okay, Rapunzel by Paul O. Zelensky. Rapunzel, retold and illustrated by Paul O. Zelensky. Okay. Long ago, there lived a man and a woman who had no children. As year followed year, this was their only sorrow. Then one spring, the white velvet dress growing tight around her waist. Joyfully, she said to her husband, "We're going to have a child at last." The wife liked to sit by a small window at the back of their house and look down in the beautiful garden. Flowers grew there and rare fruits and herbs of every kind. The garden belonged to a sorceress, who was a type of witch, who had enclosed it on all sides with a high wall. No one ever dared to enter it. One day, as the wife sat by the window, her eyes fixed on a bed of Rapunzel. The herb looked so luxuriant, which means it looks so yummy and so green and thick and fresh that she felt a terrible longing to taste it. Day after day, her craving grew. She means she really wanted this really bad, until she began to suffer from it. She became pale and wretched, which means really weak. And she said to her husband, "If I cannot eat some of the Rapunzel from the garden behind our house, I am going to die." You can't really see her, but she's right there watching from her window. Her husband was alarmed to hear such desperate words. He loved his wife dearly and saw no choice but to bring her some of the Rapunzel. 10 times, 20 times he circled the garden wall but found neither door nor gate. So, lowering himself through the window at the back of the house, he climbed down in the sorcerer's garden. Quickly, he pulled up as much Rapunzel as he could hold and scrambled back up through the window. His wife made a salad of the roots and greens and devoured it with a wild hunger. So intensely delicious was the taste that she nearly fainted as she ate. Yet the next day her craving for Rapunzel was even fiercer than before. Once again, the husband made his way down the wall into the garden, but this time, as he reached for the Rapunzel, the sorceress rose up before him. "How dare you come to steal my Rapunzel?" she cried. "Oh, it serve you ill. Oh, it will serve you ill. Have mercy on me, man. Beg. My wife is carrying her child. She has seen Rapunzel from her window and conceived such a longing for it that she will die unless she could eat some. What am I to do?" The sorceress considered his voice. "But what you say is true. You may take the Rapunzel that you need, but in return, you must give me the child your wife will bear." The frightened husband did not know what to say. Rather than see his wife die, he agreed to the demand. And when the child was born, the sorceress appeared in the room. She named the baby girl Rapunzel and carried her away. The sorceress cared for the baby, seeing to her every need. Rapunzel grew to be a child of rare beauty, with pale skin and abundance of flowing red gold hair. When she reached the age of 12, the sorceress led her in the forest to live in a high tower. The tower was a great column rising in the middle of the woods. Although it looked narrow on the outside, on the inside it was large, with many elegant rooms. Yet no door led into this tower, and its only window was at the very top. When the sorceress wished to enter, she stood below the window and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Then Rapunzel would unpin her silky braids, wind them around a hook on the window frame, and let them tumble all the way down the ground. The sorceress would grab hold of them and hoist herself up. For years, Rapunzel lived alone in her rooms above the treetops, visited only by the sorceress. Then one day, a king's son came riding through the woods. As he neared the tower, he heard a voice sweeter than any he had ever known. It was Rapunzel singing to the forest birds. Charmed by her voice, the prince fell deeply in love. He circled the tower 10 times, 20 times, but found no entrance. "How strange this tower is," he said to himself, and felt he would die of sadness. He inquired at the nearest houses, where he was told that the tower belonged to a sorceress who was keeping young girls shut away inside. Day after day, the prince returned, hoping to glimpse a girl whose sweet singing had moved him so. One morning, he saw the sorceress appear below the window and call up, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." At once, the prince knew how he too might enter the tower. The next evening, he stood under the window and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel's hair came billowing down. The king's son took hold of it and pulled himself up. "Heaven preserve me!" cried Rapunzel. The prince stepped in through a window, for she had never set eyes on a man before. But he began to speak to her in such a friendly way that her fear was soon gone. "Your singing was so beautiful," the prince told her, "that I knew I must see your face, or my heart could have no peace." Rapunzel saw that he was young and handsome. In her own heart, she felt a happiness she had never known. And when the prince, grown bold, proposed to marry her, then and there she consented. They held a ceremony in that tower. And every evening after that, he returned. The sorceress, who came only by day, knew nothing of his visits. One day, when the sorceress entered the tower, Rapunzel said, "If you please, stepmother, help me with my dress. It's growing so tight around my waist, it doesn't want to fit me anymore." Instantly, the sorceress understood what Rapunzel did not. "Oh, you wicked child," she shrieked. "What did I hear you say? I thought I kept you safe away from the whole world, but you have betrayed me." In a rage, she seized the braids and coils of Rapunzel's silky hair and sheared them off. Then she sent the miserable girl to a wild country to live alone with no one to care for her. After some months in the wilderness, Rapunzel gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Once the sorceress had cast Rapunzel out of the tower, she gathered the cut-off hair and fastened it to the window hook. That evening, when the prince called her, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," she let the hair cascade down. The poor prince pulled himself up to the window, only to be confronted by the sorceress, her eyes wild with fury. "So you have come to fetch your dearest darling," she cried. "Well, I should not see her again. Rapunzel is lost to you forever." Struck through with grief, the prince let go of the braids and plummeted to the ground. Although the fall should have killed him, the prince lived, but his eyes were hurt. He could no longer see. Wrenched and blind, he stumbled from place to place, eating nothing but roots and berries, thinking of nothing but the loss of his beloved wife. After a year of wandering in such misery, he came to the same wilderness Rapunzel was living with their children. There one day, he heard a voice so dear to him that he rushed toward Rapunzel, saw him, opened her arms to him, weeping. As Rapunzel embraced the prince, two of her tears fell into his eyes. Suddenly, his vision grew clear. Once again, the prince could see. He gazed at Rapunzel and at their two beautiful children. He looked up at the hills beyond the rocky landscape and knew that he was not lost. The prince led his family out of the wilderness toward his kingdom, where they were received with great joy. There they lived a long life, happy and content. The end. Okay. Hansel and Gretel, the Brothers Grimm, illustrated by Anthony Brown. Hansel and Gretel, the Brothers Grimm, illustrated by Anthony Brown. At the edge of a large forest lived a poor woodcutter with his two children and their stepmother. The boy's name was Hansel and the girl's name was Gretel. Their family was always very poor. When a terrible famine came to the land, they could find nothing to eat. The woodcutter lay fretting in bed at night, which means he was really worried and turning. He sighed. Sorry, that was my mom. He sighed and said to his wife, "What's going to happen to us? How can we feed our children when we haven't enough for ourselves?" "I'll tell you what," said the wife. "Early tomorrow morning, we'll take the children to the thickest part of the forest. We'll make them a fire and give them each a little piece of bread. Then we'll go to our work and leave them alone. They'll never find their way home, and we'll be rid of them." "No, I won't do it," he said. "How can I bring myself to leave my children alone in the forest? Well, ants will soon come and eat them." "You fool," said the wife. "Then we must all four die of hunger. You might as well cut the planks for our coffins." She gave him no peace until he consented. That means agreed. "But I am grieved for the poor children," he said. Hunger had kept the children awake too, and they heard what their stepmother said to their father. Gretel cried bitterly and said to Hansel, "It's all over for us now. Quiet, Gretel, whispered Hansel. Don't be upset. I'll find a way to save us. After the parents had gone to sleep, Hansel got up, put on his robe, and crept out the front door. The moon was shining brightly, and the white pebbles around the house glittered like new coins. Hansel stooped and filled his pockets with as many as they would hold. Then he went back to bed, saying to Gretel, "It's all right now, little sister. Go back to sleep. God will help us." At daybreak, before the sun had risen, the woman came and wakened the children. "Get up, you lazy bones, we must go to the forest to fetch wood." She gave them each a small piece of bread, saying, "Here's something for you to eat, but don't have it too soon, for you'll get nothing else." Gretel put the bread inside her coat, and Hansel put all the pebbles into his trouser pockets. Then they set out together for the forest. When they had gone a little way, Hansel stood still and looked back at the house. He did this again and again. "Hansel, why are you lagging behind us?" his father. "Watch what you're doing and keep up with us." "I'm looking at my white cat," said Hansel. "It's on the roof saying goodbye to me." "You idiot," said the wife. "That's not the cat. It's the morning sun shining on the chimney." But Hansel was not really looking at a cat. Each time he stopped, he had dropped a white pebble onto the path. When they were deep in the forest, their father said, "Hansel and Gretel, you go and collect some wood, and I'll make a fire to keep you warm." The children gathered some brushwood into a great pile. When it was blazing, the woman said, "Now lay down by the fire, children, and have a good rest. We're going far in the forest to chop wood. When we're finished, we'll come back and fetch you." Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire, and at midday they both ate their bread. Because they could hear the blows of an axe, they thought that their father was nearby. But it was not an axe. It was a branch that he had fastened to a withered tree, so the wind blew it to and fro. After Hansel and Gretel had been sitting for a long time, their eyes closed with weariness, and they fell asleep. When they awoke, it was very dark. Gretel began to cry, saying, "How shall we ever get out of the woods?" Hansel comforted her. "Wait a little until the moon is up, and then we'll soon find the way." Once the full moon had risen, Hansel took his little sister by the hand and followed the pebbles to show them the moonlight and show them the way. The children walked all through the night, and at daybreak reached home. They knocked at the door. And when the stepmother looked out and saw who it was, she said, "You wicked children! Why did you sleep so long in the forest? We thought you were never coming home." But their father was glad, for it had broken his heart to leave them behind all alone. Not long afterward, there was a widespread famine again, and the children heard their stepmother talking to their father in bed at night. We have only half a loaf left. After that, there is nothing. The children must go. We'll take them deeper into the forest this time, so they can't possibly find their way back. There's nothing else we could do." It grieved the man terribly, for he thought he would be better to share the last crust with his children. But his wife would not listen to anything he said. She scolded and reproached him. And because she consented the first time, he was forced to agree once more. The children were still awake and overheard them talking. When the adults had gone to sleep, Hansel got up to collect pebbles as before, but the woman had locked the door and he could not get out. Still he comforted his little sister. "Don't cry, Gretel. God will help us again." Early in the morning, the woman roused the children from bed, gave them each a piece of bread smaller than before. On the way to the forest, Hansel crumbled his piece in his pocket, often stopping to drop the crumbs on the ground. "Hansel," said his father, "why do you keep stopping and looking around? Come on." "I'm looking at my little dove that is sitting on the roof saying goodbye to me," said Hansel. "Nonsense," said the stepmother. "That's not a dove. It's the morning sun shining on the chimney." But Hansel continued to drop the crumbs as he went along. The children were led deeper into the forest, deeper than they had ever been before. A fire was lit, and the stepmother said, "Stay by the fire. You can sleep for a little while if you're tired. We're going farther in the forest to cut some wood, and we'll come back and fetch you later." At noon, Gretel shared her bread with Hansel, who was strewing his along the path. Then they went to sleep. Evening passed. but nobody came for the children. It was dark when they woke up. Hansel again comforted his sister, saying, "Wait until the moon is up, Gretel. Then we'll see the crumbs I scattered. They'll show us the way home." When the moon rose, they set off. But there were no breadcrumbs, for the birds who lived in the forest had eaten them all. "Cheer up," said Hansel. "We'll soon find the way." But they could not. They walked all through the night and the next day, unable to get out of the forest. They were very hungry, could only find a few berries to eat. The children became so tired that they could go no farther. They lay down under a tree and went to sleep. It was the third morning since they left home, and still they walked on deeper and deeper into the forest. If help did not come soon, they would perish. At midday, they saw a beautiful snow-white bird perched on a branch, singing so sweetly that they stopped to listen. After a while, it flew away, and they followed it until they came to a little house, where the bird perched on the roof. When Hansel and Gretel went closer, they could see that the house was made of bread, the roof was cake, and the window panes were clear sugar. "Look at that," said Hansel. "A feast! I'll try a piece of the roof. You can eat some of the window." He stretched up and broke off a bit of the roof to see how it tasted. Gretel stood by the window and nibbled it. Then a low voice called from inside the house, "Nibble, nibble, nibble, little mouse. Who is gnawing at my house?" Children answered, "Only the wind, the heaven-sent wind." And they went on eating. Hansel pulled a huge piece of the roof, while Gretel took out a whole window pane and sat down to enjoy it. From another window, an old woman watched them. Suddenly, the door opened, and she hobbled out. Hansel and Gretel were so terrified, which means they're really scared, that they dropped the food. But the old woman shook her head and said, "Oh, my dear children, who brought you here? Come in and stay with me. No harm will come to you." She took them by the hand and drew them indoors. A meal of milk, pancakes, and sugar, apples, and nuts was spread out on the table. After they had eaten, Hansel and Gretel were shown two pretty little beds, where they lay down and thought themselves in heaven. The old woman's kindness was only pretense, which means it was fake. It wasn't real. But she was really a wicked witch who lay in wait for children. She had built the bread house in order to lure them to her. When a child fell into her power, she would kill it, cook it, and eat it, and make a great treat of the day. Sorry, this is a little scary, but this is an old children's story, so it's not supposed to be scary, but sorry if it is. You're welcome to leave if it gets too scary. Witches always knew where humans are near, for although they are red-eyed and short-sighted, they have a keen sense of smell like an animal. The witch was up early in the morning before the children were awake, and when she saw them sleeping so sweetly, she muttered to herself, "They'll make a tasty dish." She seized Hansel with her skinny hand, dragged him outside the little cage, and locked him in. He screamed and screamed as loud as he could, but it was no use. Then the witch went to Gretel, shook her awake, and shouted, "Get up, lazy bones, fetch some water and cook something nice for your brother. He's outside in the cage and has to be fattened. When he's fat enough, I shall eat him." Gretel began to cry, but all in vain. She had to do what the wicked witch told her. All the best food was now cooked for poor Hansel, while Gretel got nothing but scraps. Every morning the witch would go out to the cage and call it, "Hansel, put out your finger so I could feel it if you're fat enough." But Hansel would hold out a little bone, and the witch, whose eyes were dim, thought it was his finger and was surprised that he did not fatten up. When 4 weeks had passed and Hansel was still thin, she lost patience, would wait no longer. "Gretel," she called, "be quick and fetch water. Thin or fat, Hansel will be killed and cooked tomorrow." Tears streamed Gretel's face as she carried the water. "Dear God, please help us," she cried. "If wild animals in the forest had eaten us, at least we would have died together." "Stop your blubbering," to the witch. "There's no help for you." Early the next morning, Gretel had to Had to get up to light the fire and fill the kettle. The witch said, "Well, we will bake first. I've heated the oven and kneaded the dough." She pushed Gretel toward the oven, saying, "Crawl in and see if it's hot enough to put the bread in." She meant to shut the oven door when Gretel was inside and roast her and eat her as well. But Gretel saw what the witch had in mind and said, "I don't know how to do it. How do I get in?" "Stupid girl," said the witch. "The door is easily big enough. See, I can get in myself." She climbed into a stool and put her head into the oven. Then Gretel gave her a great big push, which sent her right in, banged shut the oven door, and locked it. Gretel went straight to Hansel, opened his cage, and said, "Hansel, we're free. The old witch is dead." He rushed out like a bird set free, and they hugged and kissed each other with joy. There was nothing more to be afraid of. So they went into the witch's house. In every corner were chests full of pearls and jewels. "These are better than pebbles," said Hansel as he crammed his pockets full. Gretel also filled her pockets with as much as they could hold, and they hurried away from the house. After a few hours' journey through the forest, they came to a great stretch of water. "We can't get across it, Hansel. There's no bridge." "There doesn't seem to be a boat either," said Gretel. "But look, there's a white duck. If I ask her, she'll help us across." She called out, little duck, here's little Hansel and Gretel. There's no bridge upon our track. Take us over on your white back." The duck swam up. Hansel sat on it and told his sister to join him. "No, we've been too heavy for the duck," said Gretel. "Let her take us one at a time." When both of them were across and had gone a little farther on, the forest queen had grown more and more familiar to them until at last they saw their father's house in the distance. They began to run. They rushed inside and threw their arms around their father. He had not had a moment of happiness since he had left his children in the forest. His stepmother, however, had died. Hansel and Gretel took the pearls and jewels from their pockets, scattered them all over the room. Their worries were over, and they lived together in perfect happiness. My tale is done. See the mouse run. Catch it if you would to make a fur hood. The end. Okay. Let me look up some stories for you guys. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so that one doesn't work. Let's do this one. Hopefully kids are really liking this. I know it's fun for me. Okay, let's see what stories I'm going to read you next. Sorry, I think this has a little bit of music, maybe. We'll just have to see, won't we, kids? Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, I know this one. Let's do this one. Oh. No, we don't want to do that. I don't want to be able to read to you, not have someone else read to you. Okay. While I'm getting that, let me plug in my computer. Hold on, kids. Okay. Oops. Sorry, kids. Okay. Hi. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Okay. This is called Okay. Oh, never mind. That doesn't let me read it. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Okay, this is called A Home for Hideaway, and it's based on a true story. So I want to allow you to see these pictures, so let's do this. Okay. Highway thought he was destined to roam. He wished every day for a cozy, warm home, the type of home where his worries were few, the people are kind, and a yard with a view. When quite by chance, all alone by a fence, was a child in the woods. Well, this didn't make sense. It was then he decided to venture about, to get a little closer, to figure this out. He scooted on his belly right next to a tree where there were voices and laughter. A family is building a structure right there. But should he approach or should he beware? He gathered the courage to make himself known. He had to have faith. He needed a home. Highway bounced and barked, doing everything he could to tell this fine family he'd be loyal and good. The family came over to pet his soft fur. They were taking him home to stay safe and secure. Highway couldn't believe they had found a new life, and home with a child, a man, and a wife. He went to the doctor for animals, the vet. They gave him a bath. They got him all wet. The family loved him and fed him and played in the yard. Highway knew with his blessed, life would no longer be hard. Highway says, be kind, be loving, be helpful, be understanding to all creatures. So if you see an animal, always be kind. If they're scared or alone, never leave them behind. You be their hero. They are looking for you. Find them safety and help. The end. Okay, let me find another story for you. Okay, sorry, I was just trying to find another story. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Let's go back. Okay. Hopefully you guys are really enjoying this time with me today, because I know I am. What have you enjoyed so far? I know I like the Rapunzel story. That's always been fun. Oh, that's always fun. Okay, let's read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Retold by Megan Binder. It's loading. It's loading. Okay. Okay. Now I'm gonna allow you to see this. Come on. Okay. Dorothy lived with her Aunt Em, Uncle Henry, and her dog Toto in a small house in Kansas. One day, a terrible cyclone thundered over the plains and whisked the house high into the sky. Aunt Em and Uncle Henry made it safely a storm cellar, but Dorothy and Toto were still in the house as it spun around in the cyclone. Dorothy was very afraid. You could see she's very afraid with her dog Toto. She's up in the cyclone and her house is spinning around. When the house finally landed, Dorothy and Toto stepped outside and were greeted by the beautiful witch of the north and very tiny people called the Munchkins. Thank you for killing the wicked witch of the east, the Munchkins cheered. Dorothy was confused. I didn't kill the witch, Dorothy said. No, but your house did, the Munchkins cried. Look, it landed right on top of her. Dorothy saw 2 feet, dressed in a pair of sparkling silver shoes, sticking out from beneath the house. Before long, the wicked witch's feet began to disappear, leaving only her silver shoes behind. The witch of the north reached down for the shoes and gave them to Dorothy. These are yours now, and you shall have them to wear, she said. There is some charm connected with the shoes, but what it is we never knew. Dorothy thanked the witch for the shoes, but she was very sad and wanted to go back to Kansas. Then you must go to the Emerald City and ask the wonderful Wizard of Oz to help you, the Witch of the North said. How do I get to the Emerald City? Dorothy asked the Witch of the North, pointed the path of yellow bricks ahead and said he must follow the yellow brick road. Dorothy strapped on the silver shoes, and she and Toto began their journey to the Emerald City. After walking for a very long time, Dorothy rested near the side of the road. Good day, nearby Scarecrow said. Where are you going? Dorothy said she's going to the Emerald City to ask the Great Oz if he could help her get back to Kansas. If the Great Oz could help me get back to Kansas, do you think he'd give me a brain? Why don't you ask him yourself? Dorothy said. So the Scarecrow joined Dorothy and Toto headed to the Emerald City. As Dorothy, Toto, and the Scarecrow followed the yellow brick road through the woods, they came across a man made of tin. He asked Dorothy if she could fetch his oil can and oil his joints. Once Dorothy finished, the Tin Woodman asked where she was going. We're off to the Emerald City and asked Oz to help me get back to Kansas, Dorothy said. And I'm going to ask for a brain, the Scarecrow said. I need a heart, the Tin Woodman said. I'll come with you. While traveling deeper into the woods, a lion sprang for Toto. Dorothy was angry and asked him why he tried to hurt her dog. Because I'm a coward, the lion said apologetically. When the lion asked where the group was going, Dorothy said they're going to go to the Great Oz. I need to get back to Kansas, Dorothy said. And I need a brain, the Scarecrow said. And I need a heart, the Tin Woodman said. I need courage, the lion said. I'll join you. After many days of traveling, the group finally reached the Emerald City. The yellow brick road ended at the gates of the Palace of Oz. Why have you come to the Emerald City? Asked the guardian of the gate. We've come to see the Great Oz, Dorothy said. The guardian at the palace gates, the Great Oz will visit each of them individually, one day at a time. Dorothy was the first to see Oz. I'd like you to send me back to Kansas. On the next day, the Scarecrow went to see Oz. I would like you to give me brains. The day after, the two women went to speak to Oz. I would like you to give me a heart. And the last day, the Cowardly Lion approached Oz. I would like you to fill me with courage. To each visitor, Oz said, first you must kill the Wicked Witch of the West. Dorothy and her friends agreed and set off to the west to do as Oz had said. On their way, they were attacked by wolves, crows, and bees, all sent by the Wicked Witch of the West. Finally, the witch sent the winged monkeys, and Dorothy and her friends were unable to defend themselves. The witch made Dorothy her slave and took notice of the silver shoes. She tripped Dorothy, and in her fall, when the silver shoes slipped off Dorothy's foot, the witch snagged the shoe and put it on her own foot. Dorothy was very angry, so she threw a bucket of water on the witch. The witch screamed and shrieked and began to melt, leaving behind the silver shoe. Dorothy grabbed the shoe and the golden cape and ran to find her friends. Dorothy and her friends headed back to the Emerald City, but the journey made them very tired. They decided to try the charm of the golden cap. Eep, peep, 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 kakaki, Dorothy said. Suddenly the winged monkeys arrived and asked how they could help. Dorothy said they needed to get to the Emerald City. The winged monkeys agreed to fly them there, but explained that the golden cap can only use for 3 wishes. Dorothy understood. Finally, in the Emerald City, the group spoke to Oz. The Wicked Witch of the West is dead. Now we want what you promised. What promise, Oz asked. You said you'd get me back to Kansas. And give me a brain and a heart. And me courage, the lion roared. His roar frightened Toto, causing him to run into a screen in the corner. It toppled over and revealed a tiny bald man with a wrinkled face. He's not the Wizard of Oz, and he was no wizard at all. Please don't tell anyone I'm not a wizard, Oz said. I'm so ashamed. Everyone was disappointed. Oz couldn't keep his promise. But he said the Scarecrow doesn't need brains because he's learning every day. The Tin Woman doesn't need a heart because at least a heartbreak. And the lion already has his courage. He just needs the confidence to find it. Nobody was pleased, so Oz said he'd give them what they wanted if they visited him the next day. When they came to see Oz, Oz stuffed the Scarecrow's head with brown pins and needles, the brains he'd been hoping for. The Oz filled the Tin Woodman's chest with a silk heart packed with sawdust, the heart he'd been longing for, and then Oz gave the lion a bottle of green liquid to drink, the courage he'd been waiting for. The Scarecrow, the Tin Woodman, and the lion were very happy. Oz told Dorothy they could build a hot air balloon and together they could leave Oz. He would return to Omaha where he grew up and Dorothy could go back to Kansas. Dorothy agreed and helped Oz build the balloon. On the day of the launch, Dorothy and Oz were ready to take flight when Toto left from the balloon to run after a kitten. When Dorothy chased after him, the ropes broke free and the balloon left without her. Dorothy was very sad. The Scarecrow encouraged Dorothy to use her second wish to call the winged monkeys to fly her back to Kansas. When the winged monkeys arrived, they explained they could not leave Oz and that she would have to find another way. Dorothy was desperate to go home. The guardian at the Palace of Oz overheard Dorothy's struggle and suggested that Glinda, the Witch of the South, may be able to help. The next day, Dorothy and her friends headed to see the Witch of the South. The trip was long and perilous, leading to climb over very dangerous mountains. Frightened and exhausted, Dorothy used her final wish for the winged monkeys to help them over the mountain. The winged monkeys arrived and did just that. Dorothy and her friends made it to Glinda. Glinda told Dorothy she would help her get back to Kansas. She gave her the golden cap. Dorothy agreed. For all three wishes, Glinda asked the winged monkeys to bring Dorothy's friends home. Then Glinda told Dorothy that her chivalrous shoes are magical. All she has to do is knock the heels together 3 times and say where she wants to go. Dorothy said goodbye, picked up Toto, and knocked her shoes together, saying, "Take me home to Aunt Elm." Suddenly, Dorothy was rolling over the grass several times before she realized she was back in Kansas. "Dorothy, where have you been?" asked Aunt Em. Dorothy said, "I've been so many places, Aunt Em, but there's no place like home." The end. So it's time to say goodbye, kids. It's time to say goodbye. Cannot believe it. Okay. Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Been up here, lighting up the sky.
Luna, do you have time to sing a goodbye song before you go?
Always been.
Hey, this was really fun.
We hope you liked it too.
Seems like we've just begun when suddenly we're through. Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. 'Cause now it's time to go. But hey, I say, well, that's okay.
'Cause we'll see you very soon, I know.
Very soon, I know. Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye.
Goodbye.
And tomorrow, just like today, the moon, the bear, and the big blue house will be waiting for you to come and play. To come and play. To come and play. Bye now.
Goodbye now. Goodbye, kids. I can't believe we're saying goodbye. I don't know when I'm going to be back to do this again, but I know I will be at some point. I just don't know when that's going to be. So goodbye, 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 my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed Belle's Story Hour. And hopefully we could all come back together and enjoy time together, okay? Hopefully we could all come back together. From my heart to yours, I pray you guys have a great rest of your school year and a great start of your summer. And goodbye, 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 my friends. Hopefully to see you again. Goodbye. Goodbye, my friends. I love you. I'm going to miss you until I hopefully can see you again. Goodbye. Goodbye.